What if you could slide into 1,000 different worlds where it's the same year and you're the same person, but everything else is different? And what if you can't find your way home? Well, Robert Jeffries and I found the gateway. Now the problem is finding a way back home. This is Stumbling Through the Multiverse, a Sliders recap with Rain Coleman and Robert Jeffries II. What's up, y'all, and welcome back. Well, welcome back to CarefreeBlackNerd, but welcome to the first episode of, you already heard it, Stumbling Through the Multiverse. This is a Sliders recap, review, discussion. Yes, and I am your co-host. And actually, no, you go first. This is your brainchild. Go ahead.
My name is Robert Jeffrey. I'm co-host for the show. I am the I don't know. I guess between the two of us, like, I'm more familiar with the show, and I threw this idea at Rain. And so, Rain, introduce yourself.
Yes, so I am Rain Coleman. I'm the second chair on this podcast here, and I would like to formally thank Robert for this, because you have mentioned this in our previous shows that we've done before with the 4400, and this show has been on my list. But in the day and age of streaming and everything having 32 seasons or 2 seasons or 32 new shows, we do, like, it's so much, I never got around to it. So thanks to your suggestion, we are now here, and I think I have found a show that I can be obsessed with like everything else.
Nice. Yeah.
Man.
What do you say? One of us.
Yes, one of us. Yes, listeners, and the other y'all listening, you are now one of us. Follow us on this journey. Use that hashtag STTMPod, because of course there's a hashtag to go along with this podcast. Bruh. Okay. Before we get into the who's and what's and whatever, I know you touched on it a bit, but what is your relationship with this show in particular?
So when I want to say, it's probably when I started high school, like middle school going into high school. I used to watch like Friday night TV. So you had your Millenniums, you had your X-Files. Later on, like Homicide, Life on the Streets. I was a weird teenager, like watching this stuff on Fridays. But like Fridays on Fox were like the sci-fi nights. And it was back during the time when they were taking a chance on, sci-fi, maybe some fantasy. I know they were like just mainly science fiction probably, but especially like with X-Files. But Sliders was one of those shows that premiered on that network. Like, I think it was like 95. Yeah, 1995. And so when I watch it, I'm already a fan of, stuff like Star Trek, The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine. And there was just something about the commercials for this that just kind of, captured my interest. So, the basic premise is about this genius, wonderkind or kind, whatever, Quinn Mallory. He and two of his, a friend of his, a professor, and apparently this dude from the Temptations, from their Temptations knockoff, are kind of taken through this portal, and they now are traveling to alternate Earths or all parallel Earths, and they're trying to find their way back home. So as soon as I think I saw the commercials for that, I just started watching it, and it became one of, I think, like, my sci-fi obsessions. Like, this is a fandom that I love. This is a show that I love, and it just kind of captured me, even when the quality kind of got kind of weird at times, whatever. But I love it. But yeah, that's my relationship with it, and from there, I've always, that grew my love of, or interest in, like, the idea of, like, parallel Earths and the whole multiverse, which it seems like is huge in pop culture now,
Right.
Yeah.
Bruh. everything you said, I can attribute to me and it's like some other shows. So like
Yeah,
hearing this, it's like, oh yeah, X-Men. Oh yeah,
yeah.
hell, even Passions. Like y'all, y'all out there. You might. It's
Yeah.
a soap opera, but that's some sci-fi
Hmm.
mess. That's
Yeah.
what that is. So hearing you talk about that, like I feel like I'm on a winning team for one, but two, I can remember feeling that way about so many other shows that I saw
Hmm.
when I was in high school. Y'all know my relationship with this show is that because of Robert, I'm here. So that's pretty much it. But now having watched the first episode, it is definitely a show that is for me. It is a show
Hmm.
that I either relate to just because one, it's good, two, it's sci-fi, three, it's nostalgic, but it also feels like so many other things that I've seen
Yeah.
before. Not in a like knockoff is trying to be this sort of way, but I think this show you could watch, say this, Charmed, Law
Hmm.
and Order, and like Doug in like one block, and you would
Yes.
this is 90. Those
Yeah.
probably didn't come nowhere on the same network or whatever, but
Yeah. I mean,
those they feel like a aesthetic, a Pinterest board, a visual Pinterest board. That's what it
mhm.
feels like.
I mean, it's like it's an era.
Yeah.
It's like an era of TV.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was like I said, Star Trek, Buffy,
Yeah.
Angel.
Yes.
I know like people. I knew folks who were into Charmed, and then like Saturdays you had Xena. You had Hercules. You had. I know we had like a syndicated. We had a channel down here, Channel 36, and they
Mhm.
would. I cannot remember this, but it was like a block of like genre TV that
Okay.
Hercules and Xena were originally part of,
Mhm.
and you would basically, and then Highlander, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Oof.
so it's
Yeah.
just like you grew up with, you had to watch it, right? You couldn't, like,
Mhm.
there was no streaming options. You couldn't
Yeah.
go back and even DVR it. So it was like when those shows came on, you sat down in front of the TV and you watched them,
Yeah. Oof.
because otherwise you would have to get them on VHS. Like
Yes. Yes.
if your family was rolling like that, or you would watch it during like the summer when they would do repeats.
Yeah.
So yeah, so like when this one started coming on Friday nights, I was just like, okay, so this is going to fit in between all the other stuff that I
Mhm.
watch, and it was a good fit. It was just a good fit.
I, I have a theory, and this I'm gonna make it quick, but I
Mhm.
have a theory that those of us who had our formative years and our like young adult years before the internet, and the internet in this instance being streaming, I
Yeah.
think the creative persons, I don't want to say sound like so elite. It's like, oh, we're so much better. But I think that having been forced to watch so many things, even stuff you did not like or didn't want to watch,
Mhm.
gave you maybe a whatever. I'm gonna just say it, shoot my head off, but like a deeper understanding, or like a more it was almost like a class for those
Mhm.
of us who tell stories now. Because if you hated Xena, but that was the only thing on, or if
Yeah.
your grandmother made you watch Law and Order, like yes, it's entertaining, but you
Yeah.
start to pick up the beats, you start to understand, so that when you see stuff later on, and I only say that because I feel like now streaming is so big that if you don't want to look at Law and Order with your grandma, you don't have to. You can
Yep.
open your phone and watch TikTok, watch a YouTube video, or watch Sliders. It's like you don't have to.
Mhm.
You're not forced to watch these things, and so I don't know. I feel like there's something there. Don't bite
Yeah.
my head off, y'all.
No, I mean, I definitely can understand, because like I remember growing up, we watched Star Trek: The Next Generation, and then later on we would watch like Thursday night TV with
Mm.
Martin living
Yep.
single,
Yes.
and then well, I was going to say a certain show on NBC, but he shall
Mm.
not be named.
Mm.
Like Voldemort now.
Mm.
But like let's say um, a different world, and then
Mm-hmm.
um, you might have family members who love stuff like the one that I had to grow to appreciate was In the Heat of the Night. Like
Woo,
I
boy.
remember, yeah, I remember as a kid, I was just like, okay, this is boring. Like, why
Yes,
are we
same.
watching this? But my mom would watch it, or she would watch L.A. Law, and I was like, okay, they in court, and then so then you would go from there to like Golden Girls, right?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
what was it, Nurses, or or
Yeah.
227. So,
Oh my God. Yeah.
but it was that thing of like I said, you had to you got a variety of stuff, and you were
Mm,
kind of forced to watch what was on the family to, what
yeah.
everybody else was watching. Like we
Hmm.
had like maybe, you had the main TV up front, and then if you had a second TV, that was good. So you didn't have the option to like look at stuff for your phone or laptop. And
Hmm.
I know like I sound like like old man, or yelling at the kids,
Both
but
of us.
it's just kind of what it was.
Hmm.
You didn't have as much content, and even though we made the joke before, you made the joke before,
Hmm.
um, like 30 episodes and like 30 seasons, and sometimes you only get 2 seasons.
Hmm.
But we're living in an age where we are gluttons for this stuff. Like it's
Yes.
a lot, it's a lot of stuff. So it could be a good thing because we got the variety, the diversity, but then it could also be like, you know, maybe a bad thing, just kind of,
Hmm.
so, but it was just a different time.
Yeah.
It was a different time. Oh, and
Yeah.
yes, Sliders was of that era.
Oh my God. And y'all sliders, please make sure y'all check it out. For me, it ain't no sponsor, but Peacock is where I'm watching it.
So,
So yeah, I'm on Peacock. It is what it is. If you got Peacock, go ahead and tune in. Um, so to just jump into the show now, Sliders itself, 1995 science fiction show, 5 seasons. We're going over of course, the first season right now.
mhm,
In this show, Quinn Mallory has a problem. He's discovered a way to travel to other dimensions. So what's the issue? Like Sam in Quantum Leap, because it's definitely Quantum Leap
yeah,
coded.
yep,
He he can't get
mhm,
back home. But don't worry, he's not lost alone. And that's the part that really sold me. That found family mixed with the science fiction,
yeah,
mixed with the quantum leap, like,
yeah.
bruh.
They're I call them the Fab Four, like the
Mm,
original. Like you have a rotating cast of uh or rotating cast, like new cast members. And when
hmm.
you start learning about the behind the scenes BS that happened,
Oh
oh,
Lord.
it ain't good. It is not good.
Yeah.
It was bad, but that's the thing that I think kind of could draw you in, because you have these like four distinct different characters,
Hmm.
and they just work, like
Yeah.
especially in that first season. I tell people like the first couple of seasons were like kind of gold for this.
Hmm.
But part of the reason is because of those four actors, or those
Yeah.
four characters.
Yeah.
um yeah, so that was definitely a plus, and I was interested in like what you thought about all four of these like different folks coming together.
Okay, I'm about to sound like an old head again. I love this
Mhm,
because everyone looks real. Now, I'm not taking a shot at
mhm,
people who like have plastic surgery. I don't care about that. I mean, when I say real, what I mean is when I was a kid and I would like read stories and watch TV and movies that were similar to this, and I'd write my own little stories. It's like, oh, me and my friends found a way to travel to King Arthur. We're gonna go home and put on tennis shoes and tracksuits so we can go. Like just these silly stories.
yeah,
These people look like real people.
yep.
That older white man is a full figure. Are me in full figure a big boy? I don't know. He's a big
I mean,
boy.
he's a heavy set dude.
Yes.
He's a heavy set dude. I mean,
And that's just
yeah,
what it is. Like if
yeah,
this was made now, it would be, I don't know, Coleman Domingo, and
so
then
yeah,
uh fucking Sean Connery. Like you would have a
yeah,
certain aesthetic. And this he just
mhm,
looked like a regular professor.
yep.
Um what's homeboy's name?
Jim Brent
Jerry
Brown.
O'Connell.
Oh, Gary O'Connell. Sorry, or Quinn
I,
Mallory. Quinn Mallory.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
Quinn Mount. Now I'm gonna say this, and this I'm gonna try to not do this a lot, y'all. So this is the queer part. That white man was a good looking white man, and that was a good casting. They did what they were supposed to do because that
Yeah.
was good casting. But like looking at him, you could tell he's the conventionally attractive
Hmm.
guy. Like he's the lead, but the people that
Yeah.
surround him, this older black dude who has a uncle look
Yeah.
to
Yep.
him. Even
Hmm.
the young white girl, yes, she's conventionally attractive white girl, but I'm not. I didn't grow up in white culture, but like
Yeah.
she's short. She's the spunky. She's not the for that time period the bombshell, the Pamela Anderson,
Yeah.
the Felicity. She's not that. She's not ugly by any means, but I just like the makeup the aesthetic makeup of this group. Because like, what are y'all doing together? Maybe two of y'all you can interchange two. I'm like, okay, I can kind of see it, but all four of y'all as a group,
yeah,
what's going on? And I like that.
yeah.
So
No, it
I'm
was
with it.
the only thing I would kind of pull back on are those loud ass suits that they had Linda wearing. And I don't know, did you watch to the end of the credits for the
Wait, there
first?
was a post credit.
Okay, so let me just go ahead because you basically, and I'm gonna get a little bit ahead because you
Okay,
got to the cliffhanger ending, right? Where
right.
they're waiting for him to. Okay, so
Yeah.
after that, go back and this is your homework for tonight. Watch those credits. Watch
Okay.
those credits. I should have told you to watch the credits,
Lord.
but
No,
and
that's
it ties.
cool.
Yeah, it ties into his suit, but yeah, that was one of the draws of the show. Is just like in later episodes, you kind of see those personalities conflicting. Rembrandt,
Mm-hmm.
as he says repeatedly in this, is like he reminds me of Winston from Ghostbusters. I was showing up for a job. I was
Yes.
showing. He was like he just wanted to get to that gig at
Mm-hmm.
Candlestick Park or at the Giants game,
Yeah.
and him kind of, I don't want to say butting heads, but like he is like the everyman. He is supposed to
Mm-hmm.
be. At times it worked for me. Sometimes it didn't. Most
Yeah.
times the comedic relief, and then that bounces off of like these two eggheads. So if
Mm-hmm.
anything, I would pair him and Wade up
Mm.
sooner than I would pair. Before I would pair like Wade up with Quinn. So like
Yeah.
Quinn and the professor on this side, and then Wade and Rembrandt. Like you
Mm-hmm.
said, somebody's uncle, and he was on Thea. I don't know if you remember, he was
Yes.
on Thea.
God, you are. Yes. Yes. Shoot,
See, one of
Lord.
the things I will say is like doing this podcast with you is no hate on anybody else, but like it's kind of black folks. We know certain things.
Yes.
Like it's like that's the brother from Thea. That's the like the outfits, the fake afros.
Mm-hmm.
He's the David Ruffin
Yeah.
of the group. He
Yes.
was the David Ruffin of his group. So,
That.
but yeah, I'm
Mm.
getting ahead of myself. But yeah, the characters worked really well, like in
Yeah.
the main squad.
Yeah. They were phenomenal, and that it came along at a time when you could do that. When
Yeah.
I don't know who. I'm sure everybody has said it, but when people took risks on, and even I wouldn't even say took risks. They're just like, hell, we got a time spot. You
Mm-hmm.
got a script. Here's the three working actors who probably getting
Yeah.
paid shit or just think this is just a let's do it and be done. And now it's a cult classic. Like
Yeah.
this. Oh,
Well, I mean, you got the guy that plays Arturo is John Rhys Davies. I
mm-hmm.
remember him mainly from the Indiana Jones movies.
Oh, that's
Playing
right.
Sala, and that actually is another thing. He was playing somebody of a different race. That's another discussion for another day.
Hey.
Then you got Jerry O'Connell, who is like
Mm-hmm.
Stand By Me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know, Sabrina Lloyd is Wade. I can't remember anything that she did, but I know like
Fuck.
Rembrandt, the guy that played him, Clavon Derricks, he was in Dreamgirls,
Sure
the
was.
original stage play. So
Mm-hmm.
so like it's like a wide variety of like ages and backgrounds, and
Mm-hmm.
it just, like I said, it just worked.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the magic of it, because even you said something earlier about like the show and about maybe it not doing so well quality wise like later on, but I think that's the beauty of a sci-fi show, especially in that
Mhm.
time period. It can be terrible, but
Yeah,
it's science fiction. It's not like, well, I think a lot of things can just be terrible, but I think especially when you have a shoestring budget,
yeah, yeah.
even if it's a major motion picture, like when it's old and it gets
Yeah.
bad, it's like, well, this is,
You just gonna chill. You're just gonna run with it, right?
yeah, this just
You're
is
just
what
gonna
it
run with
is. So, oh my god. So the core four, what did you call them? You said the four
I
something?
said the Fab Four. I know I'm
Okay.
stealing from the Beatles, but I always say
Oh
like the
well.
Fab Four.
um, we have Jerry O'Connell as Quinn Mallory, Sabrina Lloyd, like you said, as Wade. What Wiles? Wise?
I
Wiles?
think, yeah, it's like Wade Wells. I think Wade.
Wells.
Is it
Yeah.
Wade Wells?
I, yeah.
Something.
Y'all correct us and if
Yeah.
not, slide to another universe where we've said it correctly.
Slide to another podcast.
No, oh Lord. Cleveland Derrick says Rembrandt Brown. Which Rembrandt? Like, what a name! What a name!
Yeah, I got I got thoughts, but yeah, Rembrandt, Crime Man Brown.
What? What you say?
That's the thing. That's his middle name. You really got to see that. You got to see the credits. You got to
Oh
see the end
Lord.
credits.
Okay.
Oh, it gets so that ties into like when we get into it, like the tone of this first
Yeah.
episode. It was kind of like all over the place, which I like. But yeah, but his whole name was Rembrandt Crying Man Brown.
Ah,
So
that's cool.
that's something.
That's Uncle Crime Man. Well, everybody got and the last of them is John. Is it Reese Davies? Is it Rice Davies?
It might. I'm not too sure.
Okay,
I can
forgive
never
us,
remember.
John. But Maximilian Arturo, and that's the core, the Fab Four.
Yep.
Bruh. Okay. So those are the characters, y'all. Again, if we ain't convinced you to watch at this point, then just turn it on anyways. Hell. Okay, so I guess jumping right into it, I might want you to start off because there's something that I think I'm a little confused with from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the episode, at least for me, kind of opens up like cinematically. It feels like they're going for something kind of bigger. And what was funny is that when they're kind of panning around Quinn's bedroom, it reminds me of like the opening of like Back to the Future when they were going through like Doc Brown's laboratory and the garage, and Marty's like looking at the all the different stuff. And one thing I will say about Quinn that is very apparent is that apparently this dude can do everything. He likes basketball. He likes football. He likes science, physics. He just like it's just, and that's kind of what they show in his room. And then it's like he's a smart jock, that type of thing. Like he just loves a lot of stuff. And then so basically you have this whole scene of him like waking up, meeting, talking to his mom. Because he's in college, so he's living at home. His dad is dead. His mom makes a weird ass like it was weird. Like even like watching it now, she's like, you were embellishing the circumstances of this man's death. And Quinn is like, hey ma, like he was like, that's not how it happened. I think she said his dad was so absent-minded that he got into an accident or something, and then like Quinn like says no, it didn't happen like that. But it was just weird. But I like their relationship. I'll say that. Yeah, I do like the two of them, and he's basically getting ready to go to class, and you see him go downstairs. Where what I like is how they give background. He watches a video and there's a pet cat, but he goes down into his laboratory and you see him watch this video about experiments that he's been doing in his basement. And I think what he's been trying to do, and like I said, this could be wrong. He's been trying to create this like anti-gravity machine, and out of that, something else happened. So was there something like within all that, or
that is it? Because while watching it, I think I was just accepting what they gave me. But once I got halfway through the episode, I was like, am I missing? Because I thought this was a time thing where like we're watching him try to make the thing that he made.
Yeah.
And these were the attempts. And I was like, but that then why are you shocked? So I think it's a little bit more clear now. Because I don't know why I didn't get it. I didn't.
Yeah, he was going for one thing, and like I said, if it isn't the anti-gravity machine or whatever, he was going for something different, and then the sliding kind of came out of that, or at least the traveling to parallel dimensions. So then after that, they play a lot of smooth jazz and easy listening music. Like, and it was like, it's a sign of the times. And the other thing which you'll appreciate, because we reviewed the original 4400,
Mm-hmm.
this was the first 2 or 3 seasons were filmed. I want to say the first two in Vancouver, which is the
Okay.
same place where they filmed the 4400.
Mm-hmm.
So Vancouver is standing in for San Francisco.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's a really nice area. So then you see him go to college. He goes to his course with Professor Arturo, and it's a scene to show like Arturo being as pompous and kind of pretentious as he is, and everybody in the class doesn't want to be called on. And then of course the one person that Arturo berates, Quinn has like this answer to this question that Arturo asked. So my question about that was like, why are you in this class if you can't? Like everybody was like hiding, trying to hide from this dude, and it seems like this is a regular thing. But I guess it was just kind of a scene to show them interacting and to show
Mm-hmm.
Arturo for the first time. Yeah, and that, and then from there they go to the computer center. But any thoughts about this as far as with
Yeah.
them in the
It
class?
was it was weird. It was well, it's a pilot, so I
Yeah.
don't expect to get a whole lot, but because I deliberately stayed away from sliders when you mentioned this. I said I'm only going to just watch the first episode. I don't want to look up anything online,
Yeah.
even the like intro that was made. I did it last night because I
Yeah.
didn't want to be like get an accidental spoiler from like season 3 because I'm trying to look up something for this. So I was like very intentional, like give me the intro, give me this. But throughout this whole beginning, what I like about the opening is that it could be anything. This could be
Exactly.
a
Yep.
regular
Mm-hmm.
contemporary coming of age story. It could be
Yes.
sci-fi. It could be
Yep.
horror. They had that weird joke about a mom. I was like, but then later, okay, grief is a hell of a thing, and I'll say that. I know there's no right and wrong way to grieve, but like that joke, and then later on, when she's like, "I'm just having an intimate talk with your dad," when she was talking to that picture, I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, mama, that like
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm not
Yeah.
even." But it was like, what are we doing? What is this show? But no, all in all, I did enjoy the opening because again, it's a good setup, and then even the like doomsday apocalyptic homeless generic person that's in every 90s show who was like, yeah, the end is near. It's like we got him too. And so I'm like, it's still this still could be anything if I just turned it on and didn't know what I was watching. So I did enjoy that because at that point the viewer numbers had to be high because now everybody's in. But no, I liked it. I liked the opening. I did.
It was that's kind of like I'm glad you mentioned like the weird tonal change of like throughout the throughout the episode, because at one moment it's like you said, it's like kind of could be like a coming of age, like maybe Party of Five type of deal. And then you have like the comedy with his comedic aspects, which come later on also. But then you have people like Benish, the gnarly. He's like, that type of thing. But it's just like you said, it's weird. Right off the bat, it doesn't feel like a sci-fi show.
No.
No, not at all. So from there, like I said, this is all just a typical day in the life of Quinn. So you see him go to, I guess, whatever their Circuit City or Circuit City for the old heads, Best Buy for the dwindling Best Buys, which is sad. And then that's where we meet Wade, and Wade is a friend of Quinn's who it seems like she has feelings for him. She is I love the fact that they make her like she's a computer with, kind of a egghead whiz, which is cool. And they have basically, I think they're just showing that Quinn, this is his job, but then you have this weird, once again, over the top character, like his boss come in and berate him about like, and it's just like, it's this thing of, once again, what show are we watching? Because it feels like it's a like this is one of the comedic parts, and then that's that. So you see him there, and I think right after that, that's when he goes to because I literally have in here Michael is a cartoon character.
Yes.
So Quinn at that point, Quinn goes. So, what do you think about their relationship? As far as like that specifically, want to ask you about. Like, do you think it was a good idea for them to have like her kind of pining after him a little bit, or because they don't? It doesn't go at this point, but you kind of see it a little bit.
I don't mind it because I think they did a good job, and this is something I really appreciate about this show. In one line, they made it understood that she liked him.
Yep.
She said something to the effect of, "My ex got me these great tickets." And
Mm-hmm.
I guess they're going to a show together or a game or something. She says,
Yeah.
and he's convinced that I have a thing for you or something. But it was one line that they said, one
Yep.
line. And the way she delivered it, like walking through the back with him, it was perfect. And I think this show, for everything that happened in the back end of the show, for the most part, I think everything at the beginning was set up well enough that, you know, like we get the kissing thing later, and it was like, oh, there's no confusion there. I think in a lesser show or something maybe more modern, they would beat you over the head with, oh, Quinn, you're so handsome. Why don't you take me on a date? And it's like, you didn't need that. That one line did it. So yeah, I liked it. I liked it.
Nice. Okay. Cool. So they so at this point we introduced three of the people that are going to be doing the traveling and whatnot. So I know from here he goes home. Notice the fence creaking because that'll come back later. And he goes back into the basement. And I guess I don't know if I remember this from at the beginning, but once again, one of the notes that I had was his lab looks like something out of a Schumacher Batman movie.
Man,
like all the
what is
colors.
your energy bill like? What are we doing? What are we doing? No,
it was a different time. That I had like a Dick Tracy color palette,
yes,
to the thing. But and so this is where we get more of them, the video recordings of him doing the experiment. So once again, like them using these recordings as like, I don't say a framing device, but basically something to give the backstory of how they got to here. I felt worked really well because you got to get the sense that sometimes one of the critiques of maybe sci-fi or just maybe sometimes in TV is like the passage of time. And it's just like, well, how'd you go from not being able to whoop ass here to being like, oh shit, I'm whooping ass. Like, there's, they do the montage, right? So in here, we didn't have a montage. We got to see that the suggestion that this had been weeks, maybe even months, like leading up to this. And so we finally get to like the day where he's actually able to, he wants to do the experiment. But the one video that he has is when he throws the basketball into the portal and I think he times it. I can't remember, but then it comes back, and then it's like the crowd goes wild. So, and then at that point, that's when he makes the decision to the next day to go on to slide himself rather than he says sending this cat in. So, the thing I will say is that sometimes the science in this is like just whatever, but as far as like kind of the rules or whatever, you gotta. One thing I will tell people is like, they break the rules. They just do. And I don't know if it is because of whatever. And I've accepted it. I don't like really like just crazy. I'm not crazy about that. So no, let me not say I don't get crazy about that. I know some people are like, they established this rule right here, and then it's so it's kind of weird, and you'll see things change. But I think you mentioned, like, what were your thoughts about like the videos, like him doing the
it was odd. I agree with everything you said. It was odd to me only because I was still trying to wrap my head around. Because before going into this, my impression was he stumbled upon this portal, and then so I'm going into it with this expectation that we see him discover the portal, and that's it. Like all of this background, I thought was really good. I just wasn't expecting it. So for me, it was like, what the hell is going on? Why are you jumping in? But it's also like, I think this show taps on like, and I don't know what this is called, but like that wish fulfillment. Like, oh, if I could go to medieval time and fight a dragon, or like it taps into that in a way that I think is done really well. And I enjoyed the video because that felt much better than a flashback to his father saying, "Yes, son, I have created this quantum jump matrix, and you will like." So it
Yeah,
felt
yeah,
like you said, you're not cheating me. I
yeah,
can see
yeah,
the work that was put into it. I might not understand
yeah,
why you got this Dexter's laboratory in your basement, but you got it and you actively work on it. That's another thing. Like
mhm,
I ain't gonna say he's too well rounded, but he's well rounded. This man ain't got no sharp point, no corners. This
no,
man knows everything. But I
yeah,
can also buy that. And I
mhm,
wonder if it's a combination of the show being done well, Quinn's the acting being done well, or if it's just my bias from like this is just white men in sci-fi that we've seen throughout the years. It may be all things, but I do think I don't cringe at this. There's
yeah,
nothing else like,
yeah,
this is it's just old. That's it.
yeah.
That's it.
I
So I like
mean, and that's what I mean, like that's what I appreciate it is because sometimes you kind of get the sense of when TV would show like nerdy types back in the day,
mm-hmm.
they'd be like, yeah, oh, and this, that type of thing. And it was like, no, I know people who were smart, who are intelligent, and who are, cool. And there's nothing wrong with being like socially awkward or whatever, but
Yeah.
it was basically at a certain point, it was always just Revenge of the Nerds, and that was it.
Yes.
Revenge of the Nerds and Urkel. And so having this guy who's like very intelligent and loves like
Mm-hmm.
doing a bunch of stuff, but I think that definitely does, like you said, tie into that mold of like this is the it's like the straight white male archetype for science fiction
Mm-hmm.
during this time, or at least
Mm-hmm.
like, well, shit, even now.
Yeah.
The difference being in this one, Quinn wore like 5 shirts.
Bro. This is a Gap ad. This is a Tommy Hilfiger ad. This is good Lord.
My dude wore like I counted, he put on 3 shirts and then a jacket.
Like
Um
what season? You're in school, so it gotta be well, I don't whatever. I don't know.
Nah, but then so after that, the next day is like the first slide. And so how we started doing with the 4400, when we would try to keep a list of the abilities. In this
Bruh.
case, I'm gonna try to keep a list of the worlds, and there are websites where these are listed. I tell people to do a
Mm-hmm.
search for like sliders, TV show websites, and people have them categorized much better than I will with this show. So he basically decides to go on the first slide, and he only does it for, I think it's like 15 minutes.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, for like 15 minutes. And it the world, when he jumps through the portal, we got to talk about the effects. So it's a different era. Once again, I need
Mm-hmm.
people, especially if y'all are younger than us, who watch this review and decide to go
Yes.
back. It was a different time. The effects were not where they are now, but you got to appreciate them for what they are. But
Mm-hmm.
I like the kind of the weird tunnel effect that they had.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's the first time. I don't know, like, what were your thoughts? Because I
I
wanted
liked
to ask
it
about the effect.
because
Okay.
it's so old and cheap, and I mean that
Yeah.
may have been expensive back then, but it's
Yep.
some things I don't mind. Like there's a conversation in book spaces, like novel spaces, where they're like, oh, some people don't like pop culture references in books. I don't
Yeah.
care. I would love to read a book from 1995 that says
Yeah.
like, yeah, Michael Jackson went on tour and we went to such a like I did I like that. And so that's kind of the same thing here. It's
Mhm.
dated, yes, but I think when you in the grand scheme of things, if you're going to as a later creative maybe write a TV show in 2046, but
Mhm.
the characters are in 1997. This is something that exists that you can pull inspiration from. So I
Yeah.
liked how corny and bad it looked, but it got the point across.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I liked it.
And the cool thing is he's like he basically slides back to his basement. Now this is where I'm going to nitpick. Like, you go to an alternate world and everything is the same, but I understand the effect that they were going for to
Yeah.
suggest that he was just right back where he was. So it isn't until he actually gets into his car, which is the same. and drives and starts driving around, that he starts seeing things are different. You have, I call this the red is go, green is stop world. So, because that's the biggest thing, right?
Was that in Elvis?
No, that and Elvis, yeah, like Elvis, and then like the little things you hear, like Jack Kennedy, JFK is still alive. Americans are crossing the border to Mexico, which I love. That was like that's some
Yes,
good ass
timely.
shade. You have and then so as Quinn is driving and he's listening to the radio, he's hearing the news, which is a good way to kind of relay this, the otherness of this world. He keeps driving through the green lights and stopping at the red, and because that's what we do in our world, but in this world it's reversed.
Yeah.
And then people are yelling at him, and then he finally figures out like how he should drive, and then he sees Elvis, and that's when he realizes, like, because he thinks at first like this is just kind of a joke from like a DJ on the shock jock on the radio, but when he sees the Elvis sign and then realizes what's happening with the stoplights, he goes home. This was much longer than 15 minutes, but because in my mind, he should have just been pulled out of the car.
Yes.
But as soon as he gets home, he sees his mom dressed differently with the glasses, and married and pregnant, and married to their gardener. And the mom to me looks like how they made the McFlys look in the future.
Yeah.
And Back to the Future with like the makeup and the glasses and stuff,
Yeah.
but at least it was something different.
Yeah.
And then at that point, the timer goes off and he's pulled back through the portal.
Traumatizing for one.
Yes.
Like, what is this woman supposed to do? Also, okay, I have issues.
Okay.
Well, one, I do like that they made her a brunette in that world, and then she's a blonde and so there's a stark, quick physical difference. This is jumping ahead, but can you tell me if? Oh, I wonder if I should wait. The Queen from 616 or Earth Prime, who gets pulled into this childhood game universe. Where is that Queen? Is that, or am I thinking too much? Because I know how I do.
I know, I see where you're going. So you're talking about the second Quinn that we come across?
Is that not the red light, green light? Is that not his universe?
I don't think that is.
Which is like, that's why I was like, where's the other Queen?
Exactly.
That is traumatizing to this lady. What do you mean?
Yeah, I don't think that is his world. I think that because I don't think that's his world, because some of the stuff that he says leads me to believe that, and not only it could be, but there was some stuff that he says during his conversation. Let's just call him Asshole Quinn, because there's several things that he says and does. Like, how are you gonna fuck somebody's life up and just say, like, you know what, YOLO, you got this. Quinn and his mom on Earth Prime could be struggling, and you just fucked him up with the job. You fucked his education up, but we'll get there. But no, I personally don't think that's his world.
Okay.
I don't think red light go, green light stop world is his world. So, but I see what you're getting at. So he's pulled back into Earth Prime, and then at that point he realizes that it's worked. It works. He does think about basically he's going to do it again, and then the thing that I like is that he's like, I will do it with a timer, so I think when he gets back, I think this is the same day that Asshole Quinn decides to just like, let's burn this shit down. Like he does, like Joker. He does like he's like, let's burn this shit down. So Quinn, I think he sees his mom. He's excited. Gives her a kiss. Is that when she makes a joke about if she's talking to the dad? Is that the same? She's okay. So
when he's going to school, when
he's going to school, so he goes to school. He bursts into the class with Arturo. Everybody in the class looks at him like, "Shit, why are you here?" And
Yeah.
then Arturo is like, it's eventually he says either you leave or I leave. And then Quintus is like, "I'm trying to tell you, life changing, world changing type of stuff." And then he starts feeling that Arturo is like pissed off at him. And then Arturo just yells and says, "If you don't go, then I'll go," and dismisses the class. And then people in the class start coming to him, clapping him on the back and saying, like, I couldn't have told him he's a pompous. He's like, I know he's a pompous blowhard, but I would have never said it. And then like, Benish is right on, dude, or some shit like that. And that actor is amazing. He's amazing. And then so that's what happens at school. And then he goes to, I'll go through like the two parts of his life that are fucked up now. And then he goes to his job, and Wade comes to him and says like, "Yo, you got fired. I don't know why you back here." She says like, "You want to get your last paycheck? They're going to mail that to you."
Mm-hmm.
And she tells him that he came in and said something to the guy, their boss.
Mm-hmm.
And then also she says that, "And you're going to tell me that kiss didn't mean anything, right?" And then Quinn goes like, Quinn says, "Oh my God, I kissed Michael. That's why they fired me." And I was just like, "Okay, y'all,
What?
It's a different time, y'all. Y'all need to chill." But then like he says that, and then she's like, "No, we kissed, or you kissed me." And she says, I don't think this is funny." And then she's like, he says, "Why would I kiss you? You're like my sister," or something like that, or my best friend, or whatever.
Yeah.
And so then Wade is like, "This isn't funny." And then she says, "You probably just need to go home because you're like losing it." Because he said he feels like he's losing his mind. So, so those two scenes, like, what were your thoughts? Like, did you pick up basically on what was going on at this point?
Yeah, right away. I figured right away. But the only thing that threw me off about this is this man has been in school 12 times in the span of these first couple minutes. I said, how many, if you were in the other world, red means go, green means stop, then for 15 minutes?
Yes.
Has it been a day?
Right. And time doesn't run differently. Time does not run differently.
That's what they say in the intro. They're like, "No, time is the same. It's the same." Bro, I was like, "No, this something is not right." But aside from that, I did enjoy. I figured what was going on. The time really threw me off because I was like, I knew there was someone else here, but I was like, how did he do all this damage in 15 minutes? That's what I was focused on. But yeah, Quinn.
He showed up. He rented a car. He went to Avis. He said, "I'm about to burn this shit down."
Bro, he had a plan.
Like, I'm gonna force you off your training wheels. You're about to just live your life. But so he gets back home and then goes into the basement because he's just like, he doesn't know what's happening. And that's when he sees, and we didn't say this at the beginning, there's this equation that he's been working on. And I'll see if I can get the name of it before the end of the episode, but if not, we'll talk about it later. But there's this equation that he's been working on, which has something to do with the what he's, the work that he's been doing, and his double has finished the equation. And so then he looks up and his double is there. And the thing I love is Prime Quinn is supposed to be like dressed in like 5 layers of jackets and shirts and blue jeans. And then the other Quinn is just like wearing some khakis and like a button down shirt tucked into his pants. And he's just like, he looks so fucking douchey. Like he looks like a douche. He looks like, the computer experts that you would see in like a action movie, like that type of shit. Like he just needed glasses, but he is such a tech bro of the time. And he's just like, "Oh, that little equation, I saw that months ago or whatever." And he's basically he's an agent of chaos, but then also, and this is one of the things I like and I don't like about the episode, but he's just there for info dump. Like he could also be called Info Dump Quinn because he explains sliding.
Mm-hmm. He
And
does.
it's an easy way to kind of get everybody up to speed on what's about to happen
Mm-hmm.
and what Earth Prime Quinn has stumbled upon. Um, and so before we go into the other reasons why I think he's such a douche, what do you think about like this info dumpy kind of moment or just like this reveal?
It was the oddest horror movie I'd ever seen because the way the music's like shifted when he looked up, he said, "Who did this equation?" It was me. First of all, Quinn Dynasty, Avengers, Kang Multiverse. Get the fuck out of here. Like, also, why are you just in my basement? Like,
Yep.
do you just hop from world to world harassing yourself? Like, remember that
So
Jet Li
the
movie? What is it? Number one or
the
I am number
one,
one? The one,
number
yeah. Like,
one,
what
the
are we?
one.
Is that him? Is he trying to kill all of the queens?
We know
I
he's not. We know
hate
he's
it.
nobody's bitch. Did
He-
you see? No, no. Have you seen that movie before? I'm sorry, you haven't seen it before. That's. He says that at the end of the movie. He says at the end.
oh,
Jet Li says that at the end of the
yes,
movie.
I ain't seen it in so long though. Which this show, I was like, yeah, I have to watch that again because that's what
It's.
this
I
feels
love
like.
that movie. I love that
It's
movie.
great. It's
Yeah.
but that's quick. That's him. I was like, what are
Yeah.
you doing? Also, this might be nitpicking. What is up with the mechanics? Are we always going to end up in the basement? If so, that's fine. But Evil Queen, Javar Queen, Reed Richards Queen, did the mom never like because he went out in the world destroying
Yeah.
Prime Queens. The mom never mentioned, oh, I thought you were downstairs. I was like, how
No.
what's going? But I don't have I won't worry about it. But I was like, where are we? I think this Evil Queen for me is a testament to the acting because nothing about him was different but his clothes.
Yeah.
Hairstyle was the same and his acting choices were a little different and he
Yeah.
felt like a different person. So
Mhm.
O'Connell, you got that, but fuck him, bro. Fuck him and his cliff notes.
Yeah.
Shit.
And that's
Oh,
what it was.
man.
It was like kind of the cliff notes, and for people who watch the episode, I would rather them definitely watch it, and then they'll
Mhm.
give you like kind of the breakdown of it. The thing though that he does tell him is that there are a couple of things that come out of that conversation. Is that he talks about some of the worlds that he's visited. He talks about this paradise world where he says he said I stepped onto a world this side of paradise and um he mentions that nobody lived in fear. So
Mhm.
I thought that was kind of a beautiful thing.
Mhm.
The other thing that he mentions is that he's married.
Which
So that kind of cemented him as like asshole Quinn because like you deliberately went and kind of kissed kiss Wade. And I don't care if you're married to Wade on your world, it's
yeah.
not the same one. And it's like and it doesn't matter. Like you are so that was that his smarmy attitude. And there was one other thing. The big thing is that he doesn't I don't know why he doesn't tell him
Say
to
it.
always set the timer. Well, no, Quinn figures that out of himself because he says when they go to the Arctic world or the
Mhm.
the catastrophe world, he does set it for 5 hours. So it's
Mhm.
like to give him some time. So he figures that out on his own. But I don't know. There was a little I for some reason I had an issue with him not specifically telling him like,
Yes.
oh, does he? Okay,
No,
okay.
no, no.
So
I'm with you. I have an issue. I know what you're gonna say. Well, I don't
okay.
think I know,
Well,
but
no. I was more so like there was something about the timing thing that was kind of throwing me off because I always felt like it would be smart to just spend because you don't know anything about these worlds.
mhm.
And that's what it was. It was that Prime Quinn said like I spent a couple hours here, but I didn't really get from him that outside of when he got pulled away, like
Mhm.
you got to be cautious with this. You got to
Mhm.
maybe build up your training wheels, maybe
Mhm.
spend like 15, 20 minutes like you did, where even though that wasn't 15, 20 minutes, but like you kind of like build up to the 5 hours
Yeah.
because because when he told Quinn, because when Quinn, the Prime Quinn, they go on their jaunt, it's like, no, you don't go from 15 minutes to 5 hours.
Which
So that was the thing that I wish he had told him. But the other thing, the big kind of thing is that he's telling him something as he gets pulled into, and they can't. So that was like the second time they've used that
I hate that.
pullback, like the kind of jumping back into the portal effect,
Mhm.
and and you get the feeling that something important was missed.
Yeah.
But even then, Quinn is like, YOLO. He said, my double said do it. Let's go.
Like,
He said, hashtag let's go.
oh God.
I don't know. Like that would have given me some pause. Like if he's yelling something at me that he feels is important, I would have been like, let me just take another week and maybe try to figure out, work out the kinks on this.
You would think.
So the next scene is basically Quinn and then I guess this is the same day or maybe the next day. I can't remember. The professor and Wade show up at the house because apparently I think Quinn has called them to the house. And they both got downstairs. I think the cool thing is the mom has said, I've heard so much about you, Professor, Wade. I mean, not Wade, Quinn, Quinn is a big fan and all that. So they go downstairs. The professor sees I think he sees the equation, and then he's about to kind of light into Quinn, and Quinn shows him the timer. And so from my notes at this point, I say, meanwhile, on an entirely different show.
Man. Like,
we go to Rembrandt. This brother ain't been introduced until the final 10 minutes of the show.
This pissed me off. This pissed me because I have to say this. They could have had Quinn driving to school and almost hit that man. Yeah. They could have had an interaction and then what? I was like, who is this? Yep. Who is this black man?
This is part of the reason why I wanted to this type of stuff. This is why I wanted you to watch it, not to necessarily be like, this is horrible, but it's just why do they make these choices? And it was they introduced his brother with 10 minutes left of the show, and you have no idea what's going on. They cut to an office in San Francisco, and you see this it's an older white guy, and he's smoking a cigar, and he's looking at pictures of this group, and everybody got bad afros on. And he's talking to Rembrandt, Prime M. Brown, and they basically, what you get from that is that he's got a gig singing the national anthem, I think, at a baseball game. And Rembrandt thinks that this is going to be the start of his career. And what they do establish, I like it because it's not so much like a big info dump. His agent is you need to calm that down because you actually had a good thing going when you were with the Temptations, but when you David Ruffined your way out of the group, you were horrible. So that type of thing. And then Rembrandt's stop, putting a damper. And then the other thing he says, I'm 90s, baby. And he has all of these, he has I think the AIDS ribbon, AIDS awareness. It's just so 90s. Everything. Every damn thing.
And he sucks. Oh my God.
And he's wearing this horrible tacky suit. And I'm just this brother seems wise enough to understand that you don't need to dress like you did when you were back in the 70s. It reminds me of, but I understand kind of what they're going for. But that's it's weird. It is weird that him being, that's why I said the first couple of seasons, I like the humor. But I also don't like it.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, I don't know. This is your first introduction to Rembrandt. What did you think?
I thought this was wild as hell. It did not fit with this damn show. Yep. He is my biggest fear when it comes to this show, especially when black people are in time traveling adjacent properties. It really makes me nervous. Plus it's a show of a certain time, so I know I'm probably going to be offended. He is the token black guy, but I do like his story though, because I do feel like they could have went with I lost my baby mama and I was abused. There's so many ways you could have took that. They could have took that. So that him being a washed up recording artist, who's getting back on track, that to me felt good. I haven't in a sci-fi show too. It's okay, this is. So I do like that, and especially because they weren't you fell off because you were a coke addict. Like it wasn't
Right.
anything traumatic. It was just
Eddie
like,
Kane. He was Eddie Kane.
like so I could appreciate that. Like
Yeah.
I know there's going to be some things I'm not going to like with him. I just know it. But the intro,
Mhm.
I think if they had broke it up a little bit more, and even
Yeah.
the mom when and I'm sure there's a reason for it, but she watched some infomercial or that guy was like, "Yeah, I can help you sue," or whatever that
Yeah.
was. Like, why
Yeah.
not have put that black man his
Mhm.
his group? Like, put the on to show that at least he exists
Yeah.
because
Yeah. It was
that's
a
blindsided.
it's abrupt. Yeah, it's abrupt. I think like my thing with Rembrandt is that um it's something that happens later on. Like everybody else around him is like, they act scared.
Mm-hmm.
But they're acting like sci-fi action scared. And then
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they may have him going like, like the whole thing in the car, that kind of took me out because like they had him going, that type of shit. And it was really, I was like, I like his background. I
Yeah.
actually, everything that you said, just that works for me. But like they, and they move away from that. That's the thing that I do
Oh.
appreciate from the show. Like they move away from him being like, but part of that is I know he's supposed to be the everyman, but the other
Mm-hmm.
thing is Wade is kind of like the every woman because
Mm-hmm.
she doesn't know anything about this world, but
Mm-hmm.
then about these this kind of dimension, this
Mm-hmm.
traveling adventuring, but she seems to be like very much like gung ho type of stuff. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, sometimes his reactions to stuff kind of like, I need y'all to get some brothers and sisters on this right in the show. Like it just, and if they
He's a
reboot it, I
cartoon.
hope that's
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that would be cool. So basically, kind of they show it's a unified field theory and theoretical physics. So Quinn explains to Quinn and Wade. I mean, not to Quinn to Professor and Wade. I'm sorry, he's talking to Double Quinn again.
Yeah.
What he's done. Professor is like science and
Yeah.
whatever. You haven't beat me, and then Quinn is like, watch this, old man. And then he pulls out, opens up the portal, and then Wade is like, let's do this.
Hold on. Why did he point that thing at that man?
Yes.
Why would you do that? I was like, why would you point? You don't know
Yes.
why would you point this at? We don't know how far. You never said, oh, it only goes 2 feet. I was like, you gotta murder it. You gonna murder this man in your mama's
Yeah.
basement.
In the worst way.
I was so mad. I was so mad.
I understand like the effect was cool to have somebody behind there, but him just being so blasé about it, like that was in my notes. I was wondering if he was going to catch, like he just shot it at
That pissed
Arturo.
me off. I was so mad at that. Like you are really, first of
Yeah.
all, you're 40 and you're playing a 21 year. He may have been, I don't know, whatever. He was maybe young, but
Yeah.
like act like you got some. Your father is dead. Like you
Yeah.
should be more careful. I was so mad. I was so mad.
It's like he could have killed the professor, and that they would have been like fleeing the scene of a murder. So
God.
and imagine like his body just explodes
And then comes back because the timer didn't went off. Now
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. And they come out like 5 hours, they come back and like the police are there and say, you got something to say. So, and his mom is like talking to his dad. It's like, I knew he was going to be a murderer. He was living in the basement, holding the urn. So
Oh
anyway,
my God.
so what Quinn does is that, so the portal can, or the portal can fit everybody, is he increases the power of the timer and the device that they're going to use to travel from world to world. And what happens is 90s technology. The portal goes out of it basically sucks them up, and then it travels, it bypasses his mom, which is good, and goes out into the street and sucks up Rembrandt, who has left his house by this time. I forgot about that. Yeah, basically he was trying to find a shortcut to get out of traffic, and he goes to the same neighborhood where Quinn is at, and he reacts like, this is a part where I will give him to be like yelling, because this thing
Yes.
sucks him up and his cat in his car. And they basically, and in my mind, I really wish that they had shown him traveling in that car through,
Ah,
through the sliding hole.
yes.
Tunnel. But then when they get to, I call it Frozen Wasteland World,
Mm-hmm.
they get to Quinn's in the same basement, but everything is just snow. Everything is frozen. There's a bunch of snow. It's very cold. Wade, Quinn, and the professor fall into the basement, and there's none of the equipment around. So this is the first world that we've gone to where it doesn't seem as if the same stuff. And I will say I do appreciate the fact that they got a lot of use out of this set.
Mm-hmm.
They use the set a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But my favorite line was from Professor where he says, "I think I've seen God, and I could have sworn he was driving a Cadillac."
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So he saw Rembrandt, and what it is Rembrandt has been transported outside, and he crashes into like a snowbank, and
Mm-hmm.
so they search around the house, find out that I think Quinn had a sister on this world. They had a dog, but no,
Mm-hmm.
the family's not there. So to be honest with you, they may be
They're
dead
dead.
because it looks like everybody's like dead in this world. So when they go outside, Rembrandt sees like humans. So he doesn't know that these people came through with him,
Mm-hmm.
and they show this wide shot of San Francisco. The
Ooh.
Golden Gate Bridge is frozen over. It's broken in half. I think like San Francisco is all effed up. Snow everywhere. I think the ocean or the water is like frozen. So this is like the second world that you've seen. So like, what were your thoughts on that? Like,
I liked it. I
yeah,
liked it because it was so far left from what we got before.
yep,
Because that was
mhm,
going to be my concern. And my issue is that, okay, yeah, we're in another world. And I don't mind that this is old and the budget is different and you got to be practical with some of your changes. But if your premise is we have different dimensions and different
yep,
worlds, you need to
mhm,
make it. I can take in
that's
this
it.
world, men
Hmm.
wear dresses, women wear pants. That's
Yeah,
simple costume. But
yeah,
then you give me this and giving me this winter, what you call it,
like Wasteland
Winterland,
World. Yeah,
but to get it in the same episode where we got that regular,
yeah,
slightly different. That's what I like. This show really lends itself to those big set pieces and also the DJ talking about
hmm,
America's going to Mexico and then the Elvis like you can infer changes and you can state changes and I'm just going to accept it because that's what the show is. So to
yeah,
get something so small that clearly you're just in the same neighborhood, but then to get this,
yeah,
and I don't know what like the budget was for like maybe the snow machine and maybe the foam to make the snow, but like the time that they spent in that, like it, what I'm trying to get at essentially is that this is really really done
yeah,
well.
mhm,
This world specifically, though it is older and it's like cheap-ish, it was still done well enough that if you've made it this far in the show, you accept that this world exists. So I
yeah,
liked it. I liked it.
yeah. Yeah, they I like that was perfect, as far
Mm-hmm.
as like giving like two contrasts and of the different places.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, this is where I'm going to work it in. We try to do the same thing in a series I write called The Crossing. So,
Mm-hmm.
anyways, so,
Talk your shit.
yeah, talking
Yeah.
shit. Yeah, The Crossing. Shout out to John McGuire. But yeah, so then they all get into the car because it's not cold. And this is where I think the professor mentions that this world probably suffered a nuclear not holocaust, like nuclear winter.
Mm-hmm.
The climate change that went really bad. It just whatever happened, everybody's gone, or
Yeah.
they're living in like I don't know biomes or something or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
what happens is Rembrandt starts saying like, when I'm going to get to the gig. So
Mm-hmm.
again and again and again, and they talk about the the concept of time, where they say everything kind of moves the same, even though you're not in a different time, you're in a different parallel Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So Rembrandt's like he checks his watch and he says, "Yo, if we leave now." I can get to the gig, and I respect that. I do respect that because, like I said, that just reminds me so much of Winston, where Winston was like, "If there's a paycheck in it, I'll do it."
Yes.
But then Quinn explains like he was like, my double was trying to tell me something about sliding before the timer because they're supposed to stay for like 5 hours, and then like I think Rembrandt says like 5 hours here is like 5 years, and then that's when they hear it's basically, it turns out to be like a I don't know, a winter cyclone, or it's it starts it's just the effects
I'm
of the
with
time.
it, but like
It was weird. It was just something to rush Quinn along with pushing a timer so that they would wind up going somewhere else. So this is where I told you, like, he looks out the window, he makes the exaggerated like, hey, and then Rembrandt, and then he looks and he's like, oh, and he can't talk, and I'm just like, God, don't do this to me, brother. It was just a lot.
That was so unnecessary, bruh.
And everybody in the car was like, yo, what's going on? So but anyway, so they wind up having to slide early. My question is, I hope you pick up on what why didn't he point it at the ground is what it is.
Okay. How childish can you be? What are we doing? What you could have
another person.
It could have been at the floor of the car. Like, like what are we doing? In the air when there's a cyclone that is in the air coming in. So I was like, no, so what a cyclone? What does a cyclone get in there? And now you send it to another world, and now you've just like Quinn is incompetent. He is not smart. I don't like his choices. I'll say that.
He tried to kill his professor. Wait, but the thing I love is that the professor was like, I'm the first one to go.
Like,
the professor was like, yo, let's go. He didn't say, Wade, you go first. It was just like, I'm going first.
Which it is so, this is such a dumb, and I guess I get it as far as this is a practical show, and instead of just having everybody jump and be pulled everywhere. But so that was visually interesting, but like, what? I guess if you had waited the 5 hours, like, also would the thing, I guess it just shows up where you are, because when he did the first world, it was outside, even though he started in the basement. I don't know. It was just weird to open that in the sky. That was dumb.
It was a choice. It was a choice he made. So everybody gets through except Quinn. And so when Quinn lifts up Rembrandt through the portal in the sky, he falls back into the Cadillac, and you have the sense that the cyclone is coming. And then they show all of the first three, Professor Wade and Arturo Wade and Rembrandt, and they all go through and they fall down. And then Wade is asking Rembrandt, he was like, where's Quinn? And he says something like, I don't know if he was behind me, or he says something like he doesn't know. And so Wade is like, we gotta go back in. I respect Wade for being like, we gotta go ride or die. And then Arturo was like, first of all, I'm not going back in there because I was the first one through. But then he says there's no way of knowing if you'll get back. It's kind of like it's a one-way trip, or you might get into another world or whatever. And then I think Wade like looks up and says, I see. The first thing I had was Rembrandt saying, man, that trip was a trip. And then Wade says, please don't let me lose you. Yeah. So, and that's how the episode ends, and then the credits come up. You got to watch the credits.
I'm looking at them now. I got it playing. Okay. And I'm looking down at it on mute.
Yeah.
I think I cut it off because I saw this video. And I was like, oh, I'm not watching this.
Yeah. Yeah, watch it with the sound when you get a chance.
Okay, I will.
It kind of ties into the humorous side of things, but it's also kind of ridiculous. But so that's the end of the first half of the pilot,
Yeah.
And then the second episode, at least on Peacock, is the second half of the pilot. So But yeah, I mean, like, general thoughts.
This show,
what did you think? I'll let you go first since you pass it off to me
uh,
first.
this show is wild. I can tell I'm going to have fun with it, and I
Yeah.
know I'm going to have some issues, but I'm also like, being black and watching TV is going to give you, like, no matter
Yeah.
how old you are, like,
Yeah.
there's going to be things, whether you're born in 2014 or 2024, there's going to be things that you're like, what the fuck is this? So I
Yeah.
know that that'll happen. And I think this show really, this first episode primed me to, because Rembrandt is ridiculous. He is a
Mhm.
Family Guy character. Like, there's no, he's a cartoon. Like, and he has his moments, and I
Oh.
know what he's. So, but no, honestly, I enjoyed it. I thought it was really
Yeah.
fun. It gives that nostalgic 90s feel. Even
Mhm.
just the clothing. I was like, damn, look at this.
Yeah.
Look at what these folks got on. Um, I through the critiques of it, I still think this is a great show.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to think of anything, not like something that's similar to it, like Quantum Leap. I'm trying to think, like, is there something now or in the last 10 years that could not rival it? Because I'm not trying to be like, oh, this is better than that, but I'm just trying to think of, like, what
Mhm.
else is there that gives this feel? And I don't know that I know anything off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Um, I
Um.
like, what is the show? Outlander, but that is so different than this. The tone is different.
Yeah.
It's one woman going through history, not through different universes, but I can't think of anything.
The only thing that comes to mind is a little bit of Stargate.
Okay, okay, yeah,
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 little
it's
bit of
true.
Stargate, but
This
then
is true.
also there was a show on on NBC called Timeless, which was a time travel show. You would like it. You would like it. It ran for
I've seen that.
it was I think it was like literally like two seasons in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um yeah, Timeless. It's on I think it's on Hulu. But it was about a group of time travelers. Now it wasn't Quantum Leap, but they would go on different missions, and so they at least had
Mm-hmm.
control on over where they traveled to, if I
Yeah.
remember correctly. So Timeless is that, and Stargate might be the only two, and the other one that I mentioned was I guess in the green room, however you
Mm-hmm.
want to say it,
Mm-hmm.
um, Exiles, the
Yeah.
comic
Mm-hmm.
book series. So, I mean, I know that people who will watch this, they might have other suggestions, and then
Mm-hmm.
everybody will yell at us. The multiverse, the multiverse
Mm-hmm.
of Marvel, but uh, nothing there. I think there were others before Marvel started kind of tapping into the multiverse of the
Mm-hmm.
comic books into live action and animation, more so with What If. But yeah, those are three that come to mind. Stargate, as far as like with the kind of traveling to
Yeah.
different worlds type of thing and
Mm-hmm.
different settings. Um, Stargate Timeless, and then Exiles. So
Okay.
do some and then also The Crossing, which I mentioned before. So written by
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
a comic book series. Check it out, 133art.com. But
No.
um, yeah, so I guess on my end, I still enjoy it. I love the series. I love the pilot. The pilot is actually one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like of a sci-fi show. I think that there are things that really work well. They're kind of cheesy, kind of goofy
Mm-hmm.
things, um, and I think that it still kind of gels together to get people interested enough to be like, okay, I really want to come back, rather than being like, well, I guess I better continue. Like
Yeah.
this genuine interest in wanting to come back to see what happens
Mm-hmm.
with with these group of people.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
so I do a rewatch of this once a year.
Mm.
That's just how much I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think out of I'm trying to think of the right way. Out of how many portals shot at a human being will
Oh
you
no.
rate will
Oh
you rate this?
no. Oh my god. I'm afraid. I don't know. But
Out
honestly,
of
I would
10.
probably do 10. Well, no, no, no. I'm not gonna do 10 because
Oh.
I would honestly give this a solid 8.59. I do think this for a
Mhm.
pilot, it
Yeah,
gives you everything you need, even though we get Rembrandt at towards the
yeah,
end. But even with that, you get so much of his fleshed out backstory that's
yeah,
not rooted in trauma
yep,
that I
yep,
still would give an 8.59.
yep.
Of course, going into it, understanding the time in which it was made, so
Mhm,
you have to. So I'm not going to take points off for that because it just is of its time. But I would do a solid. I just say 9 just to be
mhm.
clean. I say 9,
Cool.
9,
Yeah.
9 portals.
Out of 10 portals shot at a human being, I'm gonna go 8.5.
Okay.
I'll go 8.5. It is it's a solid start, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, and yeah, it's a solid start. But it definitely there was some room for improvement.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is a good start. So
Well, I have a question for you
yeah.
and the listeners. Out of the two worlds that we slid to in this episode, gun to your head, you got to pick one. Which one are you choosing?
uh, Red means go, green means stop. World. I mean, the worst thing there is that Elvis is still there, stealing from black people.
Yeah, this is
So,
true.
so I mean, I mean, maybe there's more to that world.
Yeah.
That's bad, but it seemed okay. I mean, how about you? I mean, which of those two worlds?
Honestly, being in these Texas summers, I might no. I just no, yeah, no. I'm going. I'm going to the red means go, green means stop. Because
Yeah,
I can just walk. Look, I
yeah,
can walk. I don't even got to drive. If the worst thing is the lights didn't change, yeah,
mhm.
yeah, I'm walking. So
Nice,
that's
nice.
me. Oh man, this has been fun. I've truly am enjoying this, and before I even watch the second episode, because I am adamant, I'm going to wait until we're going to record before I watch the next
Yeah.
episode. But I'm going to watch one and then go right into two. I'm not going to.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
that'll feel a little bit better for me. Um, Listeners, y'all let us know. Have
Mhm.
we convinced you to watch the show? And if not, don't care. Do it anyways. But no, come back if you don't want to get spoiled. So what? Just listen to the podcast, watch the podcast, go to a different dimension or something. You won't be
Yeah.
spoiled. Use the hashtag STTMPod, and that's for stumbling through the multiverse. Robert and I are stuck in, I don't know, the podcast pilot episode universe. Check us
Mhm.
out next time. I do not know. just, just listen. So,
Listen
Robert,
and
tell
watch.
these people where they can find you and support you.
So at the bottom of the screen, it's my IG handle, Robert K. Jeffrey, Robert K. Jeffrey, and on Facebook, probably the best place to find me there is like just do a search for author Robert Jeffrey II, and
Mm-hmm.
that'll send you to like my writing related stuff. And I have a website. Oh God, www.robertkjeffrey.com, Robert K JEFFREY.com. And that'll actually list you, show you what the comics that I've written. I am horrible at this. This is why I haven't.
Oh, that's all right. That's all
I'm still
right.
learning. Still
Oh
learning.
man.
How about you,
Um,
Wayne?
yeah, you can find me at what is it? Red means go, green means stop.com. No. Hit me up on Twitter and TikTok at CarefreeBlurred, IG and YouTube at CarefreeBlackNerd, and of course everything on the Carefree Black Nerd podcast network is, I think the last show before this one would have been whatever that movie that Brandy was in that I did not think ended well.
Oh
I, that movie
no.
would have, it was a terrible ending. The movie was okay, but that
Okay.
ending,
Okay.
I was like, not terrible. It just did not do what I thought it could have done, but
Okay.
still
Okay.
good nonetheless. Yeah, follow me there, and then of course follow us back here.
Yeah.
Next time for the next installment of Stumbling Through the Multiverse, where we are going through sliders. And listeners, let us know, is this the first time you've heard of sliders? Is it something that sounds interesting? Even if it doesn't, you know, you don't got to tell us, but you can. Just let us know. And then if you do watch the episode or you watch them right along with us, let us know what your thoughts are. Maybe it's something we missed. Maybe you interpreted something differently. Maybe you have a little bit more insight. Maybe you got a question. Let us know. But use that hashtag STTMPod. And until next time, stay carefree, stay nerdy, stay geeky, stay dealing with grief in the way that Quinn's mom did. If you have a family member or friend die, just talk to their picture. Just that's what I'm doing going forward. Any of my dead relatives, I'm talking to their obituary. That's all I'm doing. So I know.
And don't be a douche traveling from world to world, just kissing on whoever.
Oh, please.
Like, yeah, don't do that.
I hate him so much. I hate him because your wife is just at home. Like she's at, and you're just like, oh, this is my 8th slide. Why did you marry her? Like, if y'all ain't going on these slides together, what's the point? Are you sliding just to cheat? And it's not considered technically because you're in another universe. Whatever happens on Earth 1, 2, 3 stays. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
And what if you? I'm about to get too deep with it. Never mind. So yeah, that's it. Do you got any last words for these people? Because
no, I'm good. I'm glad you accepted the invite to go on this multiverse ride. So I appreciate it.
Lord. Well, thank you again, listeners. Thank y'all for listening in, tuning in, and we're gonna catch you next time for the official Sliders review show. And if anybody from any other podcast got something to say, slide over here. We can handle it. Wow. Oh my God! Right. All right, y'all.